So let me set the scene. I lived in the suburban paradise known as Serenity Meadows. The name is a lie. There is no serenity, only meadows of perfectly manicured, chemically enhanced Kentucky bluegrass that must be precisely 2.5 inches high. Not 2.4, not 2.6. Don't ask me how they measure it. I think they use calipers after dark. I'm a pretty easygoing guy. I keep my lawn decent, my trash cans hidden, and my Christmas decorations down by January 2nd. I thought I was a model citizen. That was before I met my nemesis, Brenda, the HOA president. The trouble began, as all great wars do, with a garden gnome. His name was Nomeo. My grandson gave him to me. He was a cheerful little fellow with a bright red hat, holding a fishing pole over my azalea bush. He brought me joy. Brenda, it turned out, did not share this joy. The first official communication arrived on thick, expensive parchment-like paper, as if it were a royal decree from the Queen of Petty. From the desk of the Serenity Meadows HOA Compliance Committee. Date: May 15th. To resident of 1234 Tranquil Lane. Subject: unauthorized lawn figurine violation #B 12.7. Dear resident, it has come to our attention that you have placed a garden gnome, hereafter referred to as the figurine, within your front lawn landscape. Per HOA bylaws, Section B, Article 12.7, all exterior decorations, including but not limited to statuary, wind chimes, and flamingos, must be pre-approved by the Architectural Review Committee (ARC). The figurine is unapproved, non-conforming, and has been deemed aesthetically disruptive to the community's curated visual harmony. You have 48 hours to remove the figurine. Failure to comply will result in a fine of $50, accruing daily. Sincerely, Brenda Whitlock, HOA President, Serenity Meadows. I laughed. I actually laughed out loud. Aesthetically disruptive? Nomeo was the most peaceful resident on the block. I figured it was a misunderstanding. I'd just go talk to her. Big mistake. I found Brenda the next day, patrolling the neighborhood in her golf cart. A white, pristine vehicle I'm convinced was forged in the fires of Mount Doom. She had the helmet hair of a news anchor from 1987 and oversized sunglasses that screamed, "I demand to speak to your manager." Brenda. "Hi, it's Mark from Tranquil Lane," I said, putting on my friendliest smile. She didn't smile back. "Regarding the violation, I assume?" "Yes, the gnome. It's just a little gift from my grandson." "Surely this is a bit much." She peered over her glasses. "Mr. Henderson, rules are the foundation of civilization. Without them, we have anarchy. We have lawn ornaments." She said the last two words with the same disgust someone else might say biohazard spill. I didn't know I needed permission for a 6-inch tall gnome. "Ignorance of the law is no excuse," she recited, as if she'd practiced that line in the mirror. "The ARC meets on the third Tuesday of every month. You may submit a request form, along with 3 color photographs, a material sample of the figurine, and a non-refundable $25 review fee." I blinked. "You want a sample of my gnome?" "For archival purposes and color matching," she said without a hint of irony. I decided then that this wasn't a battle of wits, because you should never get into a battle of wits with an unarmed person. I went home, moved Nomeo to my backyard, and thought that was the end of it. It was not the end. It was the beginning. The following week I got another decree. Violation #F 3.1. Mailbox appears faded. Must be repainted in HOA-approved Patriotic Midnight Blue, Pantone 19 to 3832, within 7 days.
Fine. $100.
My mailbox was fine. It was blue, but apparently not the right blue. Then another. Violation #L 8.4. Grass measured at 2.63 inches on the north-facing side of the property.
Fine. $75.
I half expected the next one to be about the molecular structure of my mulch. I was being targeted. This was a personal crusade for Brenda because I had dared to question her authority. I paid the fines to avoid the hassle, but I could see the writing on the wall. This woman wouldn't be happy until my house was a sterile, beige box and my soul was crushed. So I decided to fight back. But not with yelling. With paperwork. I became a student of the Serenity Meadows Covenants, Conditions, and Restrictions, CC and RS. This 120-page tome of tyranny was my new Bible. I read it in the evenings with a glass of whiskey, highlighting the most absurd passages. Did you know we are forbidden from hanging towels on our balcony rails? Or that our trash cans must face the street with the handle pointing due west? Or that excessive bird song from a bird feeder can be considered a noise violation? As I studied, I started documenting everything. Every interaction with Brenda was followed by a detailed email to myself. Every violation notice was scanned and saved. I became a ghost of perfect compliance. My grass was a perfect 2.5 inches. My mailbox was repainted with a $40 can of patriotic midnight blue. I had to special order from New Jersey. And I started watching Brenda. Brenda lived 4 houses down in a McMansion that she clearly believed was the community's palace. And as I watched, the violations piled up on her property. Started small. Her trash cans were frequently left at the curb past the 6 p.m. deadline on collection day.
Violation 5.2. Fine. $50
Then I noticed her husband, Greg, pressure washing the driveway on a Sunday. Asterisk violation hashtag N1.1. Power tools prohibited on Sundays to preserve the day of rest.
Fine. $150.
But the big one came when my son, David, came over for a barbecue. David is my pride and joy. He's also a special agent with the FBI. He doesn't flaunt it. He's a quiet, observant guy. As we were grilling, he squinted at Brenda's house. "Dad, is that a short-term rental sticker on her car?" he asked. I looked. It was one of those barcodes for a car-sharing service. "Yeah, I think so." "Why?" He just smiled. "Pull up your HOA bylaws. The section about commercial activity." My heart started to pound. I opened the PDF on my phone and found it. Section D, Article 4.0, no commercial enterprise or business activity of any kind shall be conducted on any lot. Brenda was running an illegal car rental business. From her HOA presidential driveway. The final piece fell into place when I was walking my dog and saw a for sale sign go up in front of a house around the corner. The realtor was Brenda Whitlock. I did a quick public records search. Brenda was the listing agent for 6 current properties in Serenity Meadows. She was using her position as HOA president to steer business to her own real estate agency, a clear conflict of interest that was almost certainly lining her pockets. And conducting this business from her home was a direct violation of the bylaws she was weaponizing against everyone else. The hunter had become the hunted. The monthly HOA meeting was held in the community clubhouse. It was usually a snooze fest attended by a handful of bored retirees. This month it was standing room only. I had quietly spread the word to a few other victims of Brenda's reign. Brenda sat at the head table, gavel in hand, looking supremely pleased with the turnout. "Well, it's wonderful to see so many engaged neighbors. Let's call this meeting to." "I'd like to raise a point of order," I said, standing up calmly. She frowned. "Mr. Henderson, we have a strict agenda. This pertains to the financial and ethical governance of this association," I said, my voice steady. "It's paramount." She sighed theatrically. "You have 2 minutes. I walked to the front and handed a thick folder to each board member. "I've compiled a report concerning multiple, repeated, and willful violations of our CC and RS by the HOA president, Brenda Whitlock." The room went dead silent. You could have heard a pin drop on the plush carpet. "Exhibit A," I said, clicking a button on my laptop. A photo of Brenda's trash cans at 8:03 p.m. was projected on the wall. Violation W5.2. I have 7 documented instances. Brenda sputtered. "This is ridiculous. A minor oversight." "Exhibit B," I continued. A video of Greg pressure washing on a Sunday. Violation N1.1. The day of rest apparently doesn't apply to the Whitlock residence. Murmurs broke out in the crowd. And Exhibit C, I said, my voice getting sharper. A photograph proving you are operating a commercial car rental service from your property. A direct violation of Article 4.0. I turned to the board. But the most egregious issue is the blatant conflict of interest. As a real estate agent listing multiple homes in Serenity Meadows, President Whitlock is using her position to benefit her own private business. She issues fines and harasses residents, creating a climate of fear, while she herself is one of the biggest rule breakers in the community. The room erupted. It was a symphony of pent-up frustration. People started shouting their own stories of Brenda's pettiness. She was bright red, slamming her gavel. Order! This is defamation. I'm calling the police. And she did. She actually called 911 on her own HOA meeting. When two very confused police officers arrived, Brenda was in a full meltdown, pointing at me. Arrest him. He's harassing me. He's disrupting our meeting. One of the officers approached me. Sir, is there a problem here? Before I could answer, a calm voice came from the back of the room. Evening, officers. It was my son, David. He'd slipped in to watch the show. He didn't flash a badge or anything dramatic. He just walked up, shook the officer's hands, and said, I'm Agent Henderson with the Bureau. I can assure you my father is simply exercising his right to free assembly and to petition his homeowners association for a redress of grievances. The president here seems to be having a difficult time with parliamentary procedure. The cops immediately understood the situation. They turned to Brenda. Ma'am, this is a civil matter. There's no crime here. Maybe you should take a breath. The look on Brenda's face was worth every single $50 fine. It was a beautiful cocktail of pure, unadulterated rage and utter, catatonic shock. The meeting ended in chaos, but the war was won. A special election was called the following week. Brenda was voted out as president by a landslide. A new sane board was installed. Their first order of business? They repealed the pre-approval for decorations under 12 inches rule. Their second? They formally invited Nomeo back to his rightful place in my front azalea bush. I never did move out. But the title? Let's just say Brenda told so many people I was essentially evicted that it became a running joke. The truth is, I'm still here. My grass is a rebellious 2.7 inches, my mailbox is a slightly different shade of blue, and Nomeo is fishing happily, without a permit in sight. And the best part? The new board used my documented evidence to force Brenda to pay all the fines she had accrued. Every last one. Sometimes justice is a grand, sweeping gesture. And sometimes it's a small, smiling gnome, finally allowed to just exist in peace.